Gurur-Brahma, Gurur-Vishnu, Gurur-Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedyavidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Jai Guru. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvi Navadhitamastu Ma Vidvishabhai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So where are we in our text?
We're on number 61, chapter 9.
Chapter 9, verse 61. The lamp of meditation.
Should I start?
Please.
Avastavi vedata chet. Avastavi vedata chet. Upasyatvam tatha nakim. Vritti vyapit vedhyata chet. Upasyatve pitatsamam. Doubt, but Brahman as an object of knowledge is unreal. Reply. Why not as an object of meditation too? Doubt. Covering and apprehending by vrittis is knowledge. Reply. Similarly, doing that is meditation.
So the idea here that Vidyaranya is talking about, in the beginning, before we have direct experience, we endeavor to meditate on Brahman as myself. How do we do this? Very simply, the way Ramana Maharshi said, who am I? And in the beginning, I don't know. I'm not the body, not the prana, not the feelings, not the thoughts, not the ego. And we have all these meditation verses. The meditation verses divide themselves into two categories. We have the verses of negation and the verses of assertion. Mind you, these do not define the only point. It is without qualities, it's without characteristics, it's without a form, it is beyond the gunas. It is birthless, changeless, deathless. The meditation verse is on negation. Then the assertive ones. It is a beginningless reality. It's the space of your consciousness. It is Baba, it is being, it is my very self, etc. And we endeavor to realize this. So are these just ideas in the beginning? Yeah. And what Vidyaranya is saying, don't worry about it. Do not let the fact doesn't meet some philosophical notion of absolutism be problematic. And let's step it down one step even more. If we're intensely identified with the ego, for God's sake, hang on to the feet of the Lord. Yeah, but the God isn't real. God is as real as your equipment. If you think your body is real, and if you think the trouble you're having in the world is real, God is just as real. Meditate on that. So when it leaves the realm of meditating on Brahman as an idea, becomes direct experience. In a mind made very softly. Abhyasa Vairagya Cha. Thinning out the mind. Tanu Manasa. Who sees the thoughts and the space between them. And then at an auspicious moment, I may begin to grasp there's nobody there. Yet I'm not nothing. I'm just no thing. Words fall short. Next verse.
काते भक्तिरुपास्ताव चेत् कस्ते द्वेषत्तदीरय मानभावो न वाच्योऽस्याम् बहुश्रुतिषु दर्शनात्. Doubt. Why are you so devoted to meditation on the attributeless Brahman? Reply. Why are you so opposed to it? Say that. As there are many Shruti texts prescribing meditation on the attributeless Brahman, it is not proper to say that there is no authority for it.
Yes. So again, this doubter, for some reason, he's got some issue against meditating on the formless. And we actually have those schools today. We have the bhakti schools that insist you are not God. That's not right. That's not true. That's what you need to know. What you need to know about God is you are not it. God is Krishna. Worship Krishna. Bhaja Govinda. Even Shankara says. Oh, what should we do? And we have to understand the sequence of practice. We do upasana, the worship of a deity. Now, it's interesting. Jews worship a formless God as other. It's even possible to do that. The name for God was so sacred you couldn't even say it. Couldn't have an image of any kind of a God. But one could have a relationship with that kind of God. It's fine. But in the end, when the personal sense of self dissolves, God as an object, Brahman as an object, as an idea, as a form, disappears. Next one.
उत्तरस्मिन् स्थापनीये शैव्य प्रज्ञेष्ठ काठके मण्डूक्यादौ च सर्वत्र निर्गुणोपास्थिरिता. Meditation on the attributeless Brahman has been prescribed in the Narsimha Uttarapanya Prashna, Shaibha's fifth question, Katha, Mandukya, and other Upanishads.
So here, Vidyaranya finally slaps down the objector by saying, these are the authorities by which we know to worship, to meditate on the formless. So in Mandukya, that's the only one of these that I'm familiar with. You have the great exegesis on Pranavan, which has Chatushpada, 4 quarters. U, Ma, and Sai. Stands for the waking state, U for the dream state, Ma for the deep sleep state, and the 4th, the Turiya, is not another mind state. It's not a superconscious state. It is yourself. It is the consciousness in which the 3 states rise and fall. What Mandukya will then thunder. The entire world of U, and Ma is Mithya, by Tatya, illusory, false, imagination. Only the Turiya, the self, is real. Absorb the mind in the self. There's one mantra, and I'm going to have to go back and review the Sanskrit, but Swamiji's translation is poetic. Soak the mind with the roar of Om. Ultimately, that's meditation on the formless Brahman. Soak the mind with the roar of Om. Next verse.
अनुष्ठान प्रकारोऽस्य पञ्चकर्ण ईरतः ज्ञान साधनमेतच्चेत् इति केनात्र वारितम्. This method of meditation of the attributeless Brahman has been in the Panchakarana Vartika by Sureshwara. Doubt. This meditation is the means of indirect knowledge of Brahman, but not of liberation. Reply. We don't say that it is not so.
So the Panchakarana is the 5-fold division and subsequent recombination of the Tanmatras. So the Tanmatras are there, fire, water, and ether or space, occur in the subtle world. Then when they split up into 5 parts and recombined, they essentially become grossified. And that becomes the phenomenal world. That's the teaching of the Panchadasi. But behind the teaching of the Panchadasi is the deep truth, Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. That's all just the play of imagination. In truth, what's here is the formless Brahman. It's because of Maya that the world of name and form. The 7th mantra of Mandukya, there's this wonderful term, Vijnana Ghanam, a homogeneous mass of consciousness. There's no real 5-fold division and subsequent recombination. It's just an imagination. And why does the scripture give us the Panchakarma as something to learn about that's indirect for us to know about? Ultimately, the teaching of the Upanishads is the unified field theory of Brahman. It's all Brahman. Yourself is Brahman. This world is Brahman. But Shruti, in her compassion, can take us there in stages of understanding. Going on. Does he have a note on that one? I'm curious.
He does not.
Okay, next verse.
Nano tishtati kopyeta iti chenmanu tishtatu purushya purushsyasya paradhena kimupasthita pradushyati. Doubt, but most of the people do not practice this type of meditation. Reply, let them not do. How can the meditation be blamed for the shortcomings of the meditator?
Yes. So, in Gita, Krishna says about self-realization, easy to perform. I tell you, self-realization is not difficult. You do not need to know Sanskrit. You do not need to be an Indian. You do not need to be a Brahmin. You don't need a super high IQ. But it's very rare. Very rare because for most people, even though they may think they would like moksha, liberation, they like the world more. Remember the ruthless rule of the mind. The mind will return to the experience that's given it the greatest joy. And if it's people, places, things, and conditions in the world, your mind will extrovert toward that. And what we need to do in order to realize the self and have sthita prajna, steady wisdom, is have that deep, profound insight, vipassana. to see beyond our ordinary way of seeing. Not just at the impermanence of the phenomenon. That's the place to start. Jagan Mithya. It's illusory. Next verse.
इतोऽप्यतशयं मत्वा मन्त्रान् वश्याधिकारिणः मूढा जपन्तु तेभ्योऽति मूढा कृषिमुपासताम्. People of spiritually dull intellect repeat sacred formulas to acquire power over others, finding it more immediately fruitful than meditation on Brahman with attributes. There are people still more dull-witted who concentrate only on agriculture.
Little bit classist there. The whole point here again is we may go to the astrologer, the palmist, the numerologist, think that that's spirituality. I have a friend who's a sexological body worker. Isn't that an interesting job title? He does these workshops for people to learn how to have more sensuous, more satisfying sex. Very popular. Or in the Christian churches, one of the things that's popular now is what they call a prosperity gospel. Real teaching of Jesus is we're going to show you how to get rich. God wants you to be rich. These are very popular. And then I think the deeper understanding when he means some people are interested only in agriculture. Others don't think about spirituality at all. There are people who aren't even atheists. An atheist at least believes there's no God. There are some people who never even considered the question. They're just materialists. And what Vedanta would say is, in time, they will come home to the infinite. Just not this lifetime. But that doesn't mean that the path to the infinite is not valid, not real, and doesn't deliver radical fruits. Any thoughts on this? Any questions? Next verse.
तिष्ठन्तु मूढप्रकृता निर्गुणोपास्तीर्यते विद्येकात् सर्वशाखास्थान् गुणानत्रोपहं हरेत्. Let the dull-witted do what they like. Here we speak of meditation on the Absolute. Since it is of one Vidya or Upasana, all the qualifications of Brahman described in the various branches of the Veda must be gathered for meditation.
So we don't argue with others. Let other people follow their own path. I'm a little bit softer in my tone than Vidyarata. I would not call them dull-witted. And the scriptures and the various religions provide various injunctions for them so that they can live a better life rather than a wretched life. In the first part of Viveka Chudamani, Shankara talks about how rare it is to attain a human birth. Even more so, he calls it full manhood. This doesn't mean about gender. It means that you have a mind. The word man comes from the Sanskrit manusya, and that comes from the root manas, mind. What it means is we've got a well-developed mind that is not superstitious or romantic or in a lot of denial, that's willing to inquire. Rarer still, to have a correct knowledge of the scriptures. God knows all the people who have all sorts of crazy notions about spirituality, or even partial notions. Rarer still, it's a great merit to meet a woman or a man of knowledge. Rarer still is to be steadfast on the path. Shankara says merit such as this only comes from crores of lives. How much is a crore?
10 million.
10 million lives lived intelligently. Don't waste it. You've been sent. Next one.
Anande विन्धेयस्य गुणसन्धस्य संहृतिः आनन्दादय इत्यस्मिन् सूत्रे व्यासेन वर्णिता. The positive qualities of bliss, etc., are all to be coordinated into meditation on Brahman. This has been told by Vyasa in the Anandadaya Sutra.
So, the idea, what is my self nature, my swarupa, Chidananda Rupaham, Shankara says. We not only need to meditate on the fact that I am that witnessing consciousness, but we need to, one, own our suffering. When I am unhappy, when I am disturbed, why? It is always raga, vesha, aya. I'm not getting what I want. I'm not getting rid of what I dislike. I have fear because I'm going to lose what I want to have. It is not because I don't have what I want. It's because I am wanting. The desire and object for desire become one. What happens to my mind for a moment? That vikshepa shakti, of kama is gone, or at least reduced. And I get a kiss of the bliss of Brahman. So we pay attention to our suffering, but also watch your mind when you satisfy a desire. In the beginning, some of the scriptures will make a distinction between worldly pleasures. We have to renounce our attachment to worldly pleasures and cultivate the peace, the bliss, the joy of abidance in the self. Well, I have news for you. They lied. There's no such thing as worldly pleasure. It does not exist. Only yourself has ananda as its swarup. The world isn't disgusting. The world is shunyata, empty. Now, there's a fellow I'm working with, and he says, I'm not sure I like the Vedanta and even Buddhism. I think they're nihilistic. What I really want is connection with people. I want to care about people. I want significance in my life, in these relationships and things like that. Okay. And then a week later, I get the phone call. I feel so lonely and alone. I think I'll go out and get loaded. Knock yourself out. Yeah. The yogi sees world is my favorite expression, trinkets and baubles. Doesn't mean we don't enjoy our connection with people, but it's so little. When you're connected to the infinite, then you're automatically connected to everyone and everything. But people have misunderstanding about where happiness is, where bliss is, where satisfaction is. And that's the way the Lord set up Maya. That's what keeps the whole zoo running. But you can cross over Maya and find peace. Next one.
अस्थूला देने शेध्यस्य गुणसङ्घस्य संहृतिः तथा व्यासेन सूत्रेऽस्मिन् नुक्ताक्षराधियां त्विति. Similarly, Vyasa speaks of all the negative indications of Brahman, such as not gross in the Aksharadhyam Sutra.
So I again do not know the sutra to which he's referring, but the idea here is he's talking about these meditations of negation. The self, Brahman, is not gross, it's not subtle, it's not inside, it's not outside, it's not located anywhere, and it's everywhere. These only point, they do not define. I like to reduce it to this: if it has a beginning and an end, if it occurs in time and space, if it's in one of the three states of mind, waking, dream, or deep sleep, if it has qualities or characteristics, if it has a form, most importantly, if it can be known as an object of cognition, that isn't it. Next one.
निर्गुण ब्रह्मतत्त्वस्य विद्यायां गुणसंहृतिः न युज्ये ते युपालम्भो व्यासं प्रत्येव मानतु. Doubt. Combining and thinking of these indications do not fit with meditation on the attributeless Brahman. Reply. Then your doubt is directed against Vyasa himself and not against me alone.
So I don't know what the objector thinks meditation on the attributeless Brahman is. Again, we're not defining Brahman. We're pointing. So we're not saying Brahman has the attribute of not gross. How can you say this is the attributeless Brahman? You're begging the question. The idea here is if you have the idea, oh, I'm seeing gold white light, that must be it. Does that have attributes? Yes, that's not it. Oh, I have buzzing. My crown chakra is buzzing. Am I getting close to self-realization? Is that attributes? We need to use the subtle implication of the scriptures, not the literalistic. Next one.
Hiranyashma Shrusuryadi Murti Namanudahirtehe Aviruddham Nirgunatva Iti Chetusyatam Tvaya. Doubt. As Vyasa has not asked for the inclusion of the forms such as of the sun with golden beard, etc., meditation on the attributeless is not contradicted. Reply. Be satisfied with that. We also do not ask for that.
So here, if the fellow wants to say, I want to meditate on the self as the sun with the golden beard, it said?
Yeah.
God Surya must have a golden beard. Who's to say? He wants to meditate on God with a form. He has an Ishtadevata. That's just fine. At a particular level of our sadhana, that's a value. Swamiji used to talk about how, what he would, as a kid, there was a murti of Lord Shiva in their home. And he would practice in just imagining the murti of Lord Shiva, see if he could see it as vividly and as exact as he could. this intuitive upasana from the form of Lord Shiva. He did that as a child, just spontaneously. And you don't need to do that. Cut to the chase. Who are you? You will never see yourself as an object. Where do I find Brahman? I am Atma, Brahma. This self is Brahman. Find out who you are. How? Atma Vichara, by investigating the subtle mind. What is my essential nature? Start with our direct experience. Who sees the phone? I do. That's yourself. You don't get a new self. Now investigate that direct experience. Remove from your attention everything removable. See what remains. The pure subject. Next one.
गुणानां लक्षकत्वेन न तत्त्वेन्तः प्रवेशनम् इति चेदस्व वयमेव ब्रह्मतत्त्वम् उपासताम्. Doubt. Qualities are only indirect indications. They cannot enter into the true nature of Brahman. Reply. Let them be so. Meditate on Brahman thus indicated.
So, again, if we understand that Brahman has no attributes, either negative or positive, Vidyaranya is saying, don't worry about it. If you can go to the direct experience of yourself, do it. You don't need to be going, neti, 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 neti. That's a wasteless use of speech. A useless waste of speech. All of these indications of the scripture only point. Go there. Now, I want to say something here about this section. Notice the determined pushback from the student. The student is very willing to argue with the teacher, push back with the teacher, express his doubts. This is the tradition. Some of us don't have doubts. I get around Swamiji and just being in his presence would swallow all my doubts. But he used to say, I don't want any stupid question. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask. Say the guru is like a bell. You have to bang it with your questions, with your doubts, before you get anything I invite you all to ask your questions. Next verse.
आनन्दादिभिरस्थिर आदिभिश्चात्ममात्रलक्षितः अखण्डैकरससोऽहं विद्येव वत्सु upasate. The self is here indirectly indicated by positive qualities like bliss, etc., and by negative qualities like not gross, etc. One should meditate on the indivisible, homogeneous self as that I am.
Yes. So, what doesn't work is if I think of Atman or Brahman as something out there. Well, what do you think of Brahman? Or what do you think of Brahman? Well, this is what I think of Brahman, or the self, Atman, God, whatever word you want to use. That does not free us. What we must do is start with a direct experience. Who sees the water glass? That's yourself. You're not going to get another self. You're not going to get a new self. My problem is I attribute to that direct experience all sorts of unexamined nonsense. So what Vidyaranya is pointing at is inquire into the nature of you. Tat tvam asi. You are that. How do I do that? Viveka vairagya cha. Discriminate between the real and the unreal, the self and the not self, the subject and all the objects. Then vairagya, detach from the not self. See what remains. And we use the assertive and negating scripture passages not to examine something up there in the sky, but to see whether or not it's true about me. Oh, Jim, my problem is I have low self-esteem. Okay. What do you esteem lowly? Oh, I'm ugly. Isn't that a quality of your body? Yes. Do you not know your body? Of course I know it's ugly. But you are the knower of your body. Let it go. Oh, Jim, I have anger issues. Okay. Are you angry? Or do you know the anger when it arises? I don't know. Well, look. Are you angry right now? No. Were you angry this morning? Yeah. Who knew the anger? I did. So you're not the anger. Let it go. This doesn't mean fix it or stop it. This means see that it's not. viveka, discrimination, vairagya, detachment, dispassion. Let the identification go. See what remains. This is meditation on the attributeless Brahman. Next one.
बोधोपास्यो विशेषक इति चेदुच्यते शृणु वस्तुतन्त्रो भवेत् दोध कर्तृतन्त्रम् उपासनम्. Doubt. What is the difference between knowledge and meditation? Reply. Listen. Knowledge depends on the object, whereas meditation depends on the will of the person meditating.
Okay, knowledge depends on the object. To know couch, I have to see couch. To know table, I have to see table. To know phone, I have to see phone. So the knowledge of these things depends on the object. And the second part, he said meditation depends on the will.
Depends on the will of the person meditating.
Yes. So there I am, and I've decided to meditate on a form, my mantra, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Gee, I wonder what I'm going to eat after class tonight. Oh, I think I have some leftover pasta. Oh, and it's got artichokes in it. Wait a minute, Jim. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Oh, I've got to call the symphony tomorrow about those tickets. Oh, let's see. I wonder how much they're going to cost me. I wonder if I can get orchestra seats. Jim, bring your mind back. Oh, Shivaya, Shivaya. The same thing if you're meditating on the formless. Just watch the thoughts go by. Mind goes down some theme. Bring it back. That is an act of will, an act of choice. Any thoughts on this?
A question. Every thought, as you mentioned, has a root that I am not complete and I need to get something. While my nature is full, what are the practices to remember my full nature and not get engaged into the thoughts and activities?
What you have said is true, but the arising of the thoughts are habit. That's all they are. Just bring the mind back. To understand that I'm doing this because I feel incomplete, what I am is really incomplete. You got to be very careful. You're not going to feel blissful all the time in meditation. That's mind state. Nice. But what you want to do is when you're meditating, don't allow the mind to engage in its imaginations. You can meditate with a form, your mantra, your breath, or if you want to just be in the silence, that's fine. Some meditations, after a while, what I found just out of direct experience, working with lots of people for decades, for most people, it takes about 20 minutes for the mind to settle down. But I'm not sure it's useful to say, why can't I, to go causation hunting. That's another theme of thinking. Does that make sense? Keep it really simple. Just gently but firmly bring the mind back. And the best way to do that, no thought, no theme of thinking is real. So, for example, your paradigm. Why is it that I'm feeling restless, irritable, and discontent? You made all that up. Let it go. Let everything go. I cannot think a real thought, even though the thought I just thought. I don't know if this is useful.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
We have to be very careful. We get all these intellectual understandings of things. This is, in a way, what this objector is caught up in. And that in itself becomes another kind of thinking. They can be useful. The way I frame it is this way: Vedanta is a particular kind of thinking that gets us out of our thinking. Vedanta isn't real. Here's another one for you, Nina. In the end, desire is not an impediment to realization. The body, mind, intellect will continue to have its preferences. Remember who you are. And if you want to increase your peace, increase your satisfaction, increase your bliss, let go, let go, let go. Good question. Very good question. Did I answer it?
Yes.
Okay. If I didn't, ask another one or approach it from a different way. Okay, next one.
विचाराज्जायते बोधो मिथ्याह्यं न निवर्तयेत् स्वोत्पत्तिमात्रात् संसारे दहत्यखिलसत्यताम्. By the practice of inquiry, the knowledge of Brahman arises. Then it cannot be prevented whether one likes it or not. Such knowledge, by the mere fact of its arising, destroys all ideas of the reality of the world.
Yeah. So, all of our meditative practices mature into vichara. And it comes from the root vich. Correct me if I'm wrong, you're a Sanskritist. I was taught that it means to winnow, to separate the wheat from the chaff. Is that what you learned?
Yeah.
So it's this inquiry into the nature of myself. And what I do is I separate the chaff of the upadis, the conditionings, the not self, from the pure subject, Atma Vichara. Investigation, inquiry into the nature of the self. Now, when we have those moments of samadhi, when the mind thunders to a stop, all the philosophical questions are gone. All the questions about practice are gone. Oh, but I can't stay there, Jim. My mind gets extroverted again. No problem. Aranda. And keep letting go of the next one.
तावता कृतकृत्य सत् नित्य तृप्ति भूपागतः जीवन मुक्ति मनुप्राप्य प्रारब्धशयमीक्षते. On acquiring knowledge, the aspirant experiences unbroken satisfaction and a feeling of having accomplished all that was to be accomplished. He becomes liberated in life and awaits the wearing out of his fructifying karma.
Yes. Oh, very important verse. So let's parse it a bit. First idea.
On acquiring knowledge, the aspirant experiences unbroken satisfaction.
Yeah. So getting back to what you were talking about, the jonesing, the wanting something. What does realization give us? I call it existential freedom. I don't change. I can't be improved. I can't be rehabilitated. I can't be destroyed. I do nothing. I go nowhere. And all the craziness of the mind is an illusion. I have no connection with it anymore. Just like now, you have no connection with your shadow. I have accomplished the end of human life. There's nothing else to be done. And then you observe your residual product. Your body fulfills the force of the past for which you came in. And it's ultimately meaningless. Oh, we have this great project we're going to do. Meaningless. All your great political aspirations, empathy, animal rights, changing things in the world, Gaza, Ukraine, stuff like that. Sarvamaya, Sarvamananda. If it's given you to be a political activist, knock yourself out. But it's just picture show. I think that's what we're going to get in the next chapter. The mark of the person of steady wisdom is they have given up struggle. Jim, I'm clear that I'm Brahman. I have no doubts there. But I don't seem to have the bliss that the scriptures talk about. You can Meditate more if you want, but there's no guarantee that your self-abidance will be much deeper. That's prarabdha too. You may have to give up the bliss of samadhi. How do you like them apples? And just be content with what is. This gives us peace. May not give us riotous revelry in Brahman. For some that comes easily. Others, not so much. But it's not to be achieved by mere will or effort. If you're struggling to be blissed out, you're not even a jnana yet. You're still struggling. The mark of the Jivan Mukta is there's nothing left to accomplish. Game over. Then, as he says, watch the residual prana. Okay, we'll end here tonight. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.